We've got 43 acres up here just south of Poos, and it is zoned Ag 2, so it lands within the Agricultural Land Reserve. And we've been up here since I think 2017, and we've now been contacted by the regional district that we're not in compliance with the zoning and things like that because we're commercial based rather than agriculture. So we went through some processes, did an application. It wasn't even rezoning, it was more just a reclassification of, I think it was roughly about a 6-acre parcel that we're using for our shop and for our equipment, to have that area reclassified to pay commercial rates for taxes, but also to be in compliance with that classification. And then the remainder of the property stay, don't do anything about it. It can just stay under agriculture. We sent the application out. It went to the ALC down in the Lower Mainland, and we got that application back, and they denied us. And the list of reasons were 10 pages long, so to speak, right? I guess the biggest issue I have with that is we see cities like Chilliwack, Vancouver, Kamloops, Kelowna, Fort St. John, even any city, town throughout BC, they seem to expand. But almost every city has farmland. They're surrounded by farmlands because that's in the early days, that's where the settlers were, that's where the farmland was close to the communities, right? So if these other communities are able to pull land out of the ALR to expand for things like larger airports, Walmarts, condo units, you name it, all these, you have to expand your city, life needs to carry on. Why can't we be given the same opportunity to do the same type of thing for business? Business is what drives community. Businesses pay taxes. It's what drives the economy. So just because we're not building houses and Walmarts and parking lots, it doesn't mean that we're not part of a working system and be good for the province, right? There seems to be a lack of appetite, or just no appetite at all, to work with applicants on finding a solution that works. Realistically, the ALR is a jagged map line. It's just a line drawn on a map, and everything within inside of that is in the ALR. That says here's a list of things you can do, and here's a list of things you cannot do. Seems like there's zero appetite to think outside the box and think, okay, up in this weird little corner of the map, there might be 200 acres, or maybe there's 520 acres or something. It's on a weird little corner. It kind of doesn't make sense. It's somewhat removed from the farming community or even like an agriculture type of use. So why can't that maybe be removed from the ALR? Because it's maybe not even based on land use, but just strategically makes more sense to take that out for commercial or even residential expansion. But over maybe on the other corner of the map, maybe there's an area that makes sense to add that. So just do a shift, right? Make it work for everybody. Shift some land out of the ALR over here to maybe add it in here. Or thinking on a bigger picture, maybe you can go further out of the community, farther away from the town. There's lots of areas that they could add. There's lots of forested lands out there. They could add that area, and in doing so, it would free up areas for business to grow. Because in order for housing projects, communities to grow, there needs to be jobs. Business creates jobs. So how is it that we can remove land to allow housing projects, Walmarts, runways, car dealerships, those kind of things, but smaller type business that is probably one of your bigger types of economic driver, there needs to be room for them. You have to make room for them as well. Otherwise, all you're doing is you're pushing those businesses out of your community, or even worse, out of the province of BC, because it doesn't seem like BC is business friendly, and it does trickle down to a lot of the communities. Some communities are more business minded, where they push harder on these higher levels of government, and you see them getting lands freed up. But here in Dawson Creek, it seems like it's a constant theme. It's a struggle. It just doesn't happen. So you're forced into these smaller areas that are too small for some businesses. Like myself, I'm looking at, realistically, 10 acres is pretty much what I need to operate properly and have a proper size shop and area for the larger equipment. I can't get a 10-acre parcel within the city of Dawson Creek in their commercial spacing without spending money that this style of business can't support. So you're either faced with, you continue fighting and eventually lose the fight with the ALC and you go out of business, or you step into something that you can't really afford and you eventually go out of business anyways. So it's easier just to fold up shop, and everybody who's employed by myself, they then looking for other jobs. So I think a common sense approach, what works best for everybody, rather than here's the line, this is what you can do, and this is what you can't do. That's the wrong approach. That's not leadership, and that's not progressive. The world is not static. It's not staying the same. Things have to change in order to move forwards. It's like a path forwards. It's simple. You need to work with the stakeholders, and you need to make it happen.